Indubitably. And welcome, all you Biconics wrestling nerds out there. And welcome to another rendition of Los Chicos Gordos, your weekly NXT review team of myself, Mikey, and my lovely co-host, Will, back at it again. And this one's fresh in our minds, Will, because we literally just watched it at the time of this recording less than 10 minutes ago.
Yes, indeed.
So I'm excited. I can't wait to talk about this. This is going to be a fun one. So let's just jump right into it.
Okay.
NXT opens up this week with a championship match of all things. We have the NXT Heritage Cup Championship match between challenger Chad Gable of Alpha Academy taking on the champion, Noam Dar, the leader of Metaphor. And I have to say, this was actually a pretty fun opener. I really enjoyed this.
I know, me too. I thought it was, I thought it started the night off really well, like truly. I was like, okay. I know, and the funny thing is it's Noam Dar and Metaphor, so I kind of figured it was going to be a show, you know, sort of fun, because their stuff always is. It's usually fun and exciting. And then we add the Academy into this, and it was like the shenanigans just came and came and came. So it was fun. It was a great way to open the night.
Of course, Noam Dar being like the slippery little eel that he is, but Chad Gable, man, like, listen, I've been a huge fan of Chad Gable. And I think he's one of the best technicians WWE has right now currently, because his actual background is wrestling. Like, he wrestled in the Olympics and everything too. So, like, he has an actual amateur wrestling background.
Right.
I will say, I think my move of that entire match is when Noam Dar went to kind of clothesline Chad Gable, then Chad grabbed him and rolled him up for a stalling German suplex where he rolled him up, and then just using the momentum to like throw the German suplex back. I was like, oh my gosh.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, that was great. There was so much going on in this match. There was, Chad Gable is, like you said, I know you gave me his background. I don't know much about him in the Academy other than what I've been exposed to. But man, just watching him dance around that ring, I was like, wow, he's got some moves. I think I was even telling you when we were watching it, and I was like, wow, he's got some moves. And they're smooth too. That was what's so great about it. There was like everything he did was just like he was sliding on butter. It was so wild. I was like, God, look at that. That was great. So yeah, this was so, he was, I'm not gonna lie, he was pounding on Dar.
My goodness. Okay, so let's just go through it. So for the first time in quite a while for me, and then also for you, is that normally Noam Dar is able to get 2 out of the 6, rounds, thus declaring him the winner. This was not the case, because Noam Dar got the victory early in round, and then Chad picked up a victory towards round 5, but it ended with a tie. And as soon as that bell rang, Noam Dar tapped out to Chad Gable, but the bell had already rung, so everybody was trying to figure out what was happening. And we were told via our ring announcer that the score is tied in the event of the winner the Heritage Cup will not change hands, so therefore still your NXT Heritage Cup champion is Noam Dar. And the shenanigans that happened after the match too was a lot of fun. So Lash Legend gets in the face of Maxine Dupree and pushes her through the rope rings. I was like, dang, Lash, that was violent. And then Otis catching her too was Otis is great, man. I love him catching her, and she's like, oh no, get away from me. Ew, gross, bye.
That was so funny. She was like,
I love Lash, and she's great. Otis was great in this. Honestly, I really hope we continue this weird feud between Metaphor and Alpha Academy, because this is awesome. I love it so much. And like you said, this was a fun way to open up the night. So from here, we get a little video package from Mr. JBL, who announces his picks for the men and women's Iron Survivor qualifying matches. I'm going to start with the women because this leads into what happens in the men's match. But for the women, JBL picked Blair Davenport and Thea Hale to go at it. And then the men's, which at first glance we were watching, I was like, we have Carmelo Hayes taking on Josh Briggs. And I'm going to be honest, in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, Carmelo's got this in the bag. Like, I'm pretty sure the Carmelo's going to end up in there because we're telling the story with him and Trick. So it would make sense for both of them to be in the match, and then we can start like continuing to sow the seeds of dissension.
Playing from Will's clip.
Even Alexa thought it was a sure thing in the bag.
She did. That was weird.
But we won't have to wait long for this men's match because we got a lot to talk about with that one. After this, we get the first installment of the family celebrating, regaining the tag team championships. So they go out to the restaurant that they were at before No Mercy 2 when they had the Fatal 4-Way. I'm like, I love that this restaurant is getting all the love in this back on these segments. It's like keeping them in business. It's great. Also, the girl that's part of the family now, I love her. I want to know more about her. I hope she becomes a main staple with them. It's great. But essentially, it's just them sitting down and getting ready to eat dinner to celebrate, and that's where we leave that. Listen, we're going to talk about the family in a little bit too, because again, continuity is a big thing here in NXT, and I love that this whole entire episode has been. I have no issues with the continuity with a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Though there's one question in particular I'm going to ask when we get to it. Okay, let's talk about this first backstage segment that truly mattered. So, Carmelo Hayes is like mentally preparing himself for his match against Josh, and Trick Williams comes in and being the lovable Trick Williams that we love, hyping up Carmelo was paranoid this whole entire segment, Will.
Mm-hmm. I was just like, oh, because Trick's all like, hey man, you're gonna be amazing, and it's gonna be incredible. I mean, just hyping him up, and he's like, you know what, you were there for me, and when in mine, so I'm gonna be there for you. And then I was like, oh, see, look, and I was just like, and of course in my mind, I'm like, Trick, please stop being this man's friend, stop it. And then Carmelo was just like, yeah, man, yeah, but you know what? I really kind of need to do this on my own. So I need to you don't need to be there, basically. And then Trick's just like, all right, man, yeah, that's cool. And I'm like, Trick cannot be this stupid. He cannot be this stupid. If they play him this stupid, I'm going to be so mad. Like, if this is actually the way they're going to play this character, I'm going to be so angry. Because Trick is smarter than that, and I'm just like, I don't understand. So I was a little miffed about that at the end, but the paranoia is there though, and it's beautiful.
Right, and Carmelo mentioned like he was thinking like 3 steps way too beyond of what was in front of him, and Trick had to remind him because Carmelo said that he needed to win a deadline and then he's gonna get back his championship, and Trick's like, bro, you gotta win tonight first, focus on that first.
Yeah.
So Carmelo's starting to crack, and I'm kind of here for it.
Yep.
Because again, it adds depth to his character, and we still don't know. We still haven't figured out who attacked Trick Williams, and we're still trying to figure that whole mess out. And we're going to talk about a certain individual because I think he's going to end up being the catalyst. He's going to be like, and here's the evidence, just because I don't like you. At least I hope that's what it was. And I would make it, I'm going to wait till we get there. So next up, we're supposed to have our NXT Women's Championship match. Valkyria makes her entrance, and we don't even get that because then Xia Li comes out of nowhere and jumps her, which I was kind of here for. I was like, yes, Xia Li, be the heel, jump your champion. And everyone was, that's how you naturally get heat, because the audience was booing Xia Li when she attacked Lyra.
Oh, yeah. And it was funny because you had to walk away for a moment when we were watching it. And the Carmelo thing happened, and this happened, and I was just like, oh my God. No, Micah, you gotta come back. So we were like, rewind, so we could watch it all. Because, yeah, I was like, it was just like boom, boom. It all happened kind of cascaded, and it was so well done.
Right. And then I remember telling you too, I was like, I'm pretty sure we're still getting this match, but if we don't get this match tonight, I actually might be upset.
Yeah.
But thankfully, we got it as our main event, which we'll talk about later. And then the through line for the whole show, we would see snippets of Lyra being taken care of and all that stuff, getting checked on by the medical examiner. Which, by the way, Lyra, girl, your neck was what was attacked. You did not need to put the ice bag near your face. But I get it. I was like, I'm not really going to harp on that. Okay, so let's talk about this tag team match, because for weeks we have been saying that we wanted to see more from Los Lostarios, and me and you both agreed that we were tired of them losing. and we wanted to see more aggression for them. Boy, and I think NXT is listening to this review and to us because...
I think so too, yeah.
I think they're listening to us because Los Lotharios took on Idris Enofe and Malik Blade in a tag team match. And my God, Los Lotharios were the most aggressive I have seen them since, their return from the telenovela 3-parter that we got leading into them coming back to NXT. Because boy, howdy, there was no love lost between these two teams.
No, I just thought I was literally like, where has this been? I literally was like, come on. I get having to lose, quote unquote. I get that you have to underperform. But see, I hate that. It's like perform to your top peak so that when you get defeated, it makes more sense to me. It's like, oh, they were more powerful than you. As opposed to, oh, you're super weak and they just rolled over you, which is what it felt like. And then we get this, and this was on fire. Man, the two of them were they were so in sync with each other, as a tag team. And I'm like, wow, everything they did was it was so beautiful. And yeah, it was super violent too. They were out for blood.
Seriously. And there was a lot of I think there was a few parts in here that I was like, oh, and I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not even a wrestler, but that hurt me, how vicious they were with the kicks to both Idris and Malik. And I believe it was Malik that got thrown over the top rope, and then he got smacked on the way down too by
I think so.
Humberto. I was like, Lord have mercy. That finisher that Los Lotharios have too, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh, it was so good. It was really good, And then this fight happened, and I was like, okay, so I guess they've officially been released off their chains. And now they're just on fire, and I am here for it.
Oh, absolutely. I am super excited to see where this leads for them. And thankfully, we didn't have to wait long because we figured out what their next direction was. But okay, I gotta prepare myself right now because next up is our men's Iron Survivor qualifying match between Carmelo Hayes and Josh Briggs. William, I was not ready for what I saw on my screen because Lord have mercy, this was my match of the night.
Yep, mine too.
So Carmelo Hayes is always going to show out. Say what you will about his character wise, in-ring is always solid from Carmelo, but man, Josh Briggs came out and was the star for this match. He came out so aggressive, and I'm like, where has this Josh Briggs been this entire time?
Well, don't forget the backstage thing.
Right. So Josh was with, Fallon and, Brooks as well. So they were hyping him up. But then they even got a little worried because he was so laser focused. Josh was so laser focused. He's like, I gotta do this. I gotta go. And then when Carmelo's music hits, he's like, I'll see y'all later. And Fallon and Brooks were like, what just happened?
What was that all about? I mean, it was it was weird. I mean, it was something's going on. That's why I was like, something is happening. And I was telling Mikey as it was going on, this match from Josh Briggs' side, it felt personal.
Right?
I mean, I don't know what it is, but man, I was like, he wants that man dead.
Again, Carmelo always shows out his high flying maneuvers and then just the pure quickness that Carmelo has. But man, Josh used his height to his advantage because he chokeslammed Carmelo a bunch. He forearmed him.
Oh man, when he caught him in midair.
Yes, and I was just like, the height he got before he threw Carmelo to the ground.
Yeah, I was like,
and then there was one where Carmelo was in the corner and he tried to do a pendulum swing, and then Josh grabbed him and just popped him up in the air.
It was insane. It was insane.
Josh was a man on a mission. And it felt like this was personal. It felt like he had a chip on his shoulder. Like, he felt like this is do or die time. I'm like, where was this like the last year and a half you've been on my screen, Josh? Like
I said, this match felt personal on his part. I think Carmelo he was defending as best as he could, but Josh was out for blood. I mean, it was literally, I was like, he wants to destroy him. That's why I was like, it feels personal. You know, it wasn't like I just want to defeat you, I want to win the match. It was like, I want to humiliate you, destroy you. I mean, I was so pumped. What's going to happen next? Oh my God.
And you know what? There was a hot minute where Carmelo ended up like taking the legs underneath out from Josh, and he was setting up to do his finisher, which is the leg drop from the top. Now, this is where we get to the only real critique I had about this match is as Carmelo was on the top rope getting ready to drop the leg, who should come out but our Guns N' Roses wannabe cosplayer Lexis King, who distracts Carmelo, which then allows Josh Briggs to hit Carmelo and I was not expecting this big man to do a moonsault off the top rope, and I was like, that's a big man with a lot of meat, and just plant the moonsault on Carmelo to pick up the win. And going to deadline for the men's Iron Survivor Challenge is Josh Briggs, and I was gobsmacked. I was like, whoa, I was not expecting that result, but I'm kind of glad that it was.
Yeah, and so since we're here, let's talk about Lexis King. Because I don't know what the hell he's here for. You know, we've only seen him wrestle once. And yeah, he was decent. He was a pretty decent wrestler. But we have seen him do nothing since then. Like, nothing. He has wrestled nobody. All he has done is cause mayhem. And if that's his thing, if that's what he's here for, then I need you to let me know that. Because I don't know what his purpose is. You know, I mean, everybody who has a beef with Carmelo, there's a lot of them. Why Lexis King, who actually has no beef with him whatsoever? Why? I don't get this. When he came in, I was like, what the hell is going on? Why is he here? You know, and then he's all like, laughing and all that. And I'm like, I mean, is this all you're here for? Is to be that dude that comes in and kind of screws everybody's lives over? Is that what it is? Because if that's the case, you can pack your bags and go. We got enough of that already. We don't need any more of that. Especially if you're not going to actually wrestle anybody.
Right? And I feel like that's been our biggest critique for Lexis King, because he debuted at Halloween Havoc, and, you know, his in-ring was a lot of fun. I think the match he had against Dante Chen at Halloween Havoc was pretty good. But then he's kind of like not really done anything. We got like a skeezy interview the second week of Halloween Havoc where it made me feel uncomfortable that he was talking to our backstage correspondent in Mackenzie. And then he had a weird backstage segment with Baron Corbin, and they were talking about like Baron was like, how'd you get Trick to punch Mello? And then Lexus didn't really explain. And now he's getting involved. I need to know. And what I'm hoping is that Lexus has dirt on Carmelo, because he has proof that it was him who attacked Trick Williams, and he's just sowing chaos. I'd be here for that, but I'm like, listen, B grade Loki needs to give me more of a reason. Like, the story writing is not there for me. I feel like we're missing chunks of the story. And I eventually, and like we talked about while we were watching this, I'm pretty sure this is leading to a deadline match between Carmelo and Lexus at the pay-per-view in a couple weeks. But I need the story to start taking some direction, because I need Lexus to either outright say it or to like allude to the fact that he knows what Carmelo did last summer. If we're going to do farm references, I know what you did at Halloween Havoc.
Exactly. It's not making any sense, because even when he came in to distract Carmelo, it was literally just a distraction. It wasn't I know something you don't know. We didn't get anything from it other than he just came in and disrupted the fight. That was it. And, and all he does is sit on that stupid throne of his and be like skeezy. He's gross. I don't know. I really want to like the guy, because I was like, okay, he's coming in. He's trying to get out from underneath his father's shadow, whatever the hell. That's fine. But could you do a little bit of that, please? It's like, because right now you've done none of it.
And that's where I'm kind of frustrated because look, I know we got to slowly build characters because you can't be throwing Lexus every single week. And I honestly think Carmelo versus Lexus at Deadline is a match I'm looking forward to because I know both in ring. We have about
3 weeks.
So as of now, it's technically 2 weeks.
So
we have 2. Wow, it's approaching quick, man. We got 2 weeks to start filling out this card.
Yep.
And so far, we have the 2 Iron Survivor matches for the men and women, so that's 2 slots, but we got to start figuring out what else we're putting on the card.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Because we haven't... Oh, no, we have Baron versus Ilya. That's also...
Oh, that's right.
I'm like, okay, so...
That's the only... That's it.
That's the only championship match, and then the 2 Iron Survivor, because that's going to be for number 1 contender for the championships. No word if Lyra is going to have a challenger at Deadline. And then I don't think the tag titles are going to be defended there because we're getting a championship match next week.
Yeah, that's true.
So we got 2 weeks to see how they fill the card. So we'll see what happens with that.
See how it goes.
Again, NXT, we need you to start giving us more depth to Lexus's character because right now I need to know why he's involving himself in Trick Williams' business. Like if you are able to answer that in the next 2 weeks, then I will take back my complaints and I will be like, all right, now we're getting somewhere. So after this, Lyra Valkyria is still icing her neck backstage. And I love that Mackenzie just slides into frame. She's like, Mackenzie's great. Hey. I love Mackenzie. Mackenzie's a great backstage correspondent. I love her.
She's fun.
So Mackenzie slides into frame and she asks Lyra, so you were supposed to have this championship match, but Xia Li attacked you. Do you think you're still going to be able to defend it tonight? And Lyra gets fiery. She's like, we're having this match tonight. I don't care. I'm a fighting champion. I'm going to whoop Xia Li's ass up and down this ring. And she proceeds to go leave. And I'm like, yes, Lyra. And this was the point where I love that we both clapped at the same time.
Yeah, we did. We went.
We're like, we're so in sync, you guys.
Yes, we really are.
Okay, Will, I need to take a moment because Lord have, oof. See,
This
Will
next.
already knows what we're going to talk about next. And listen, I am here for the campiness of wrestling, but you gotta be able to produce this because this whole entire segment that
painful.
is like 3 minutes I'm never getting back of my life, Will.
It was so painful.
So to preface before we go in, the next segment we got after Lyra still telling the audience and us that she's gonna have her championship match, we get into a Bizarro World version of a sitcom with Von Wagner and Mr. Stone and his family at dinner. And immediately I knew it was going to go off the rails because Von Wagner came to this house with Little Debbie cosmic brownies. And I was like, there's no hiding, that's Little Debbie. Do we want to do a play-by-play and then go into our feelings?
If you would like.
All right, I'm going to make this quick because I want to talk massive amounts of crap about this because this was awful. Von Wagner arrives at the house. Mr. Stone greets him. They have an awkward exchange about the brownies. He walks upstairs. We meet Mrs. Stone, which, by the way, I did love her dress. So it was like, you can never go wrong with classic black dress. And then we also got to meet Robert Stone's children, who, I said this while we were watching it, were the best actors in this whole entire scene. So what this amounted to is that, they're eating spaghetti. Von Wagner may or may not still be gay at this point because he talks about how much he loves sausage in his spaghetti. I was like, this cannot be a joke. Like, what is happening here? We get this awkward exchange between Mr. Robert Stone and his wife. The first bit of this dinner is them telling the kids not to look at Von Wagner's cigar because it's not polite to stare, which is correct. So I was like, shout out to the Stones because that's actually good parenting. Like, you don't want to stare. But Von was telling them, it's okay to accept, in a weird way, was trying to send the message like it's okay to accept your flaws and to love yourself for it. I was just like, well, you could have did a better job of, producing that message, but I'm here for it. And then we got into the kids are being bullied, so Von Wagner is threatening to hurt the older children. And then the Stones are like, no, we do not solve our problems with violence. And then they go to the kitchen to grab the brownies. And then Von Wagner's like, listen, you tell me the names and I will come get them. I'm like, Von Wagner, when did you become a hitman? Like, calm down.
Oh my God.
But then the most painfully awkward part is you could tell that they cut way too early when someone said action, because the Von Wagner, the kids shout brownies. I was like, God, that delivery is so bad. And they enjoy the brownies, and then that's how we egg this segment. Where do we begin?
The sad fact that the kids were the best part of the entire thing. Now, I will say that, Mrs. Stone probably could have been good, but she was basically moot through the whole damn thing, except for the one true line. Well, she had two. She had one at the beginning, and then shall we go get the dessert from the kitchen? And it was just like, I had no words. I literally had no words, because, we've had these Stone and Von Wagner segments before in the past, but they have never been this bad. Like, this was just bad. It was bad writing, it was bad cinematography, it was bad all the way around. I'm just like, and I'm sorry, they had Von Wagner was threatening children.
I was just like, listen, NXT, we're happy that you listened to us about certain things, but what you didn't need to do was try to sweep it under the rug.
Yes, that's exactly what it was kind of feeling like. It was like, oh, let's get you over to Mr. Stone's house and meet his family, his heterosexual family. But I was just like, but then it was like, then he was like a child. Then it was like they have 3 kids now. Like, welcome to our family, child number 3. They were sitting there and they were eating the same way. They were doing. They were literally doing shit like kids. And I was like, what is happening here? I don't understand. 1, bad writing. 2, bad acting. 3, what the fuck?
Okay, so I don't mean to, take up some time, but let's talk about how me and you would have set up this scene, because, I don't claim to be the best writer, but I was just looking at this, I was like, sir, I have 3rd graders who could write better than this. Like, what is happening? So this is how I would have written it. I feel like the through line should have been that I think what should have been the main focus is continuing to show the friendship between Mr. Stone and Von Wagner. This was cheesy and this was not great writing. So what I think should have happened is, this is what I would have, the Cosmic Brownies can stay, because Little Debbie for life. I'm just putting it out there. I was like, listen, Little Debbie has carried me through many turmoil.
Yeah.
So she's been the one constant woman in my life.
Yeah, that's very true. Me too.
Though there was a time I cheated on Little Debbie for some other.
Did you go so Sarah Lee, that slut?
I didn't know what I was thinking. I was young and naive. But this is how I would have wrote the scene now that since we're there. We keep the brownie scene. We keep going in. I would better write everything that led up to the kids staring at the scar. I would have loved to see Vaughn play it off as like, oh yeah, it's a thing, but it visibly still bothers him. And then we get a cutaway, afterwards, fast forward to the end of dinner, the kids are going to sleep, and Mrs. Stone's putting them to bed, and we have some sort of outside balcony scene or whatever you want to do with it, where Von Wagner's just staring off, and then Mr. Stone is just like, Vaughn, what's wrong? And then we find out that Von Wagner still has insecurities about, the scar on his head from surgery he got as a child. And then this is where Robert Stone gives a corralling, loving, friendship is power speech. And then that's how you should have ended it right there. Because if you're trying to continue to push forward the friendship that is Von Wagner and Mr. Stone, you should have had a heartfelt scene here to pull at the heartstrings to make your viewers more invested in this weird storyline. Because I was hook, line, and sinker. I was kind of invested in this friendship, and the segment that we got kind of turned me off a little bit. I was like, this is bad. I was like, I don't know if I want to. We need a break from this because the writers did not deliver on this one.
No. See, and my whole thing is, I wouldn't even have done this in the house. I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have even brought him there. I would have been maybe they're all on a camping trip or something. I don't know, but
or even a barbecue outside.
Yeah, it's
casual.
Just felt too formal.
If you were gonna do formal dinner, y'all should have went to Tony D'Angelo's place and had a separate section.
Exactly, and I think a barbecue, a pool party, and then. Being in the pool and swimming around the kids, and then that's when they notice the scars and they ask, they talk, or whatever, and that's when the Stones go, boys, we taught you that it's not good, it's not polite to stare, this, that, and the other. And then go into that idea, then we flash forward to the end of the party as people are leaving. This, Stone goes out and he sees like Vaughn sitting in a chair by the pool. He goes out and he's like, what's going on, my man? And then then that's when it comes to that idea of I still have insecurities and, I don't know if I'm capable, I still have my doubts. And then that's that. Then he's like, you listen here, my man. And then gives him this just beautiful sort of like, you're right, friendship is power and we're stronger together. And, you're far more stronger than you think you are. And, like my hashtag, thank you for being here. The world's a better place with you in it. And, that sort of thing. It's just, they so missed the mark on this one. And I don't know if it was what it felt like was they were like, no, they're not gay. See, here's Mr. Stone's happy little heterosexual family. And let's put Vaughn in there and it feels awkward. And now we're going to create this awkwardness between everybody. And I'm just like,
I feel like we regressed his character by making it awkward like that. Because we were building up that Vaughn is protective of Stone, Stone's protective of Vaughn. And I feel like the wife bit would have been better had we seen her like earlier in the storyline or something like that.
Yeah.
But,
But I mean, they made him out to be a kid, like a child. And I'm just like, what are you doing? You're defeating the purpose of what you've been trying to do this whole time.
They literally turned him into a big dumb idiot in this segment. And I'm like, listen, I know he looks like your low-level intelligence barbarian. And that's our joke. But me and Will actually really do like Vaughn as a character. And we love him as this big, lovable goofball powerhouse who will knock your block off if you hurt his friends and family.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's what you should be building Von Wagner as, is like, let him be this protective barbarian character. And maybe he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, but we don't need to regress him to be a child. And a Neanderthal, too, because even Mr. Stone and his wife were looking at him when they were eating this. He was eating the spaghetti.
Yeah.
And just the looks they gave him, I was like, without saying it, they're like, oh, how uncivilized. I'm like,
I know. I was so rude. I was just like, I don't like it. Because now it's like we hear, because I mean, if you think about it, viewers and listeners, building him up and building him up, building his confidence back up, building his abilities back up. I mean, truly bringing him back from the edge of the abyss. And then, then the Stone Breaker fight happened and Von Wagner showed up and whooped Breaker. And then they fought and, and even though Breaker won, but still, Von Wagner put him through a freaking table. And basically, and I was like, you totally won that match. And then they do this. And literally, you destroyed everything you built to this point. You literally set him back as the sort of dumb Neanderthal. And I'm like, what? Why did we go through all of that to get to this? I was extremely upset and angry about this because I love Von Wagner's character. I love that character. And they did him dirty in this sequence.
They did. They made him and Stone to look bad in this.
Yeah.
Listen, Shawn Michaels, if you're watching this review, please, this is not what we meant when we wanted improvements in the storyline. This is the opposite.
Yes.
And I'm still wanting to see this friendship evolve, but we need to retcon a few things. We need to make sure the next time we see a segment that you put everything in it, because this was bad and this was the low point for me of the night. I was like, oh my gosh.
Hire us. We'll come in right for you.
Seriously.
We'll create these scenes because
give us a tryout for a week.
Serious. I'm dead serious. Shawn Michaels, you hear me out there?
Seriously, between my writing skills and Will's directing powers,
totally can make this work.
So moving on to things that actually kind of work for me in the context of the overall continuity, which is the key word of this episode. Our boy, me and Will's favorite person right now, outside of our NXT champion, we have Wes Lee come down to the ring, where he cuts promo real quick, talking about, everything that has led up to this moment. He's lost to Ilya, he lost to Baron, he lost to Carmelo back at Heatwave. He took some time off. And, the one thing that's been consistent is his drive to get back here. And he's ready to face Dominic, for costing him the match last week. And cue Dominic Mysterio coming out to a plethora of boos. So essentially, Dominic basically talks a large amount of crap, talking about how he's the best NXT North American champion that this brand has seen, and that Wes is a loser and whatnot. I was like, damn, Dominic. I was like, just go off, girl. I was like, all right. And essentially, Wes wants one more shot at this title, and Dominic is willing to give it to him, but with the stipulation that next week on NXT, there will be a fatal 4-way to determine the number one contender for the NXT North American Championship match. And should Wesley come out victorious in that fatal 4-way next week, Dominic will give him one more match at Deadline for the NXT North American Championship. But should he lose next week, then that's it. Wes doesn't get any more chances at the championship. And we can infer that he doesn't get a shot at it so long as Dominic holds that title. And so I'm trying to think. I don't know, Will. Wes has to win at Deadline. He has to take that title off of Dominic, right? Because if Wes loses, there's nobody else, in my opinion, that is ready to take that title off of Dominic. And I feel like we've been building this story since, Wes has been on a losing streak, and then he left NXT for a little bit, and he still lost on his return. We have to be building up to a Wesley win at Deadline, right?
We have to be. I mean, otherwise you're going to knock him out of the running for it. I mean, so I think, and it's so funny because we get the matchup later in the episode for next week. And thinking back on the lineup, I'm thinking he's going to win that. And I think he's going to face Dominic for sure at the pay-per-view. I really do. I really think that in my heart of hearts, I believe that this is Wesley's comeback and that he's going to take that North American Championship belt away from Dominic and hold on to it for a while.
Right. Because, so we're going to get into my booking / conspiracy theories, but to be more specific, for the Fatal 4-Way, Dominic has put the stipulation that is a Fatal 4-Way where Wes is going to have to face he has to face 3 other and then come right back. So in this Fatal 4-Way, Wesley in this fate is going to be taking on 3 former NXT North American champions in the forms of Cameron Grimes, which is the first person that was shown with the long hair, then our big boy Bronson Reed, and then our NXT's first ever Triple Crown champion, Johnny Gargano, Johnny Wrestling himself. And listen, that match is going to bang, as I like to say around these parts. That match is going to slap. I want to see everything. I want Johnny Wrestling to be destroying fools. I want to see Bronson Reed throw boys across the ring. Cameron Grimes is going to stomp people out, and Wesley's going to do his Wesley thing. I think it's going to be an amazing match, but if Wes doesn't walk out of that match the winner, I'm just going to be like, NXT, what are we doing? And so going to my booking thing, I think Wes has to take the title off of Dominic, and we give him a long second run, because I still believe we are eventually building up to Endgame here, where it's going to be Wes versus Ilya at some point, and Wes is going to take the NXT championship from Ilya once Ilya's ready to go up to main roster. But man, I don't know, Will. If Wes doesn't win next week, I may or may not cry. I may be depressed a little bit, and I may boycott NXT for like a week.
Yeah, I know. There's no way that he's not winning this week. There's no way. Story-wise, it makes total sense that Wesley would challenge Dominic Mysterio for that title. Nobody else. It makes no sense for anyone else. I mean, truly, if you look at everybody who has been against him, Wesley is the one constant that has just been like, I was cheated out of this. I want it back. At least he says I want a shot at it. So, and the great thing about it was when Wesley was talking to Dominic, he was telling Dominic that without his gang, he couldn't hold on to that title, because he was calling it like it was. And that's what I love about Wesley. He was like, if without the rest of your little team there, you would not hold on to that title. You cannot defend that title by yourself. And I was like, hell yeah, Wesley. And then that's why Dominic was like, okay, you want to come against me? Then you have to go against 3. And it's like, he can't even play fair when it comes to a challenge. He can't. And so now it's like, oh, I'm going to put you up against 3 former champions, and let's see how you do. There's just no way. It would make no sense. Again, of course, I don't know, NXT higher ups, maybe they have a much larger plan or whatever, but it made sense that he got his butt whooped last time. It makes sense. He came back. He wasn't ready really because he'd been gone for a few weeks, and so he came back in and he wasn't familiar with the territory anymore. So it made sense that he got his ass handed to him. But now he knows, and he knows Dominic. So I honestly and truly, in my heart of hearts, believe that he's going to walk out a winner next week. I really do. Because it would make no sense. The 3 people he's going against, when's the last time we heard from any of these 3 gentlemen?
Right. All 3 of them are currently on main roster, so it's just like, yeah, Wes has to win this one. Because that's the only logical story. Now, I think the match is absolutely going to slap. I think this match is going to be good.
Too. I think it's going to be damn good. And I'm curious to see if Dominic's little,
if Judgment Day makes an appearance.
Yeah. Because Wes is right. Dominic can't win a title on his own. He has to have help.
Exactly. So, we'll have to see next week. I'm excited for the match, and I can't wait. Speaking of things that I can't wait for either, we literally got a Dateline recap with Chase U and everything that's been going down with the scandal that we still don't know all the details about. And essentially this culminates into, after getting the recap, that Andre Chase breaks his silence next week on NXT. I'm like, break the silence about what? Did he murder somebody? What happened? Did he embezzle oh my gosh, he embezzled the campus funds. I bet you that's what it was. Oh my goodness. This is, again, the ridiculousness of professional wrestling is what I'm here for. I love the campiness to this whole thing. And, we get told that Andre Chase is going to break his silence next week, which then leads into our backstage segment with can't get a hold of Duke either. I'm like, oh, what happened to our boys? So what happened? I was like, no, everybody is split up. No, don't do this to them. No. So Thea's worried about them, but JC's like, girl, I'm worried about them too. But, just like we saw with Carmelo and Trick earlier in the night, JC's like, girl, you need to focus on your match against Blair tonight because you get an opportunity, and these opportunities do not come that often. So you need to go out there and you need to get your spot in that Iron Survivor Challenge at Deadline. And so I was trying to read the card that was backstage because as soon as they left, the camera kind of hovered over that a little bit long, and I was trying to read it. I'm like, darn it, I can't read it.
I know, I couldn't either.
I was like, dang, I was like, what is on that card? I was like, fine, whatever. We're going to be shrouded in mystery, but that's okay. Which then leads into our next match, Blair Davenport versus Thea Hale for a spot in the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge. Thea got a lot of offense in this match, more than I thought she was going to, if I'm going to be completely honest. Because as soon as we heard that it was Thea versus Blair, I'm like, oh, Blair's going to kick the snot out of her. It's going to be a bloodbath. Yep. And surprisingly, Thea held her own. But damn, she fell victim to Blair's knee strike, which is still very vicious to watch. Yeah. And Blair is heading on over to Deadline.
Yeah. Can we just comment? And this was a beautiful moment when we were watching it together, and Thea was making her entrance, and Mikey was like, "I love me some Chase U intro music, but Thea really needs her own." And then JC comes walking out, going it off. And then Thea's new intro music, so good. And then her name on the screen, it says "Hail Thea," and I was like, "Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am." And finally, I was like, "Finally, her whole sort of new character has come together because now she's got her own intro music, and they've got her thing where it says "Hail Thea," and oh my god, I was like, hell yes."
And as we were watching this too, like I made a comment as soon as Thea's music was playing. I was like, "This is my gay finger whack moment of the night." I was like,
it was a great moment. It was so great because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, God, I really wish she had her own intro music.
And JC's like, "Hold up!"
Oh my God, it was so, and it's so good too. That's why
I love JC's expression when they're coming out to chase you. She's like, she's so upset. She's like, and then the new music hits, and I love the burning effect, like the chase you like. Entrance Titantron goes up in flames and then it burns into Thea's new like Titantron for just her. I was just like,
Hail Thea. I was like, oh yeah, here we go.
This again. And with all that, you know, Thea, I was very pleasantly surprised. She got in a lot of the offense, but like I mentioned before, she fell victim to Blair's knee strike.
She did.
Lord have mercy, that knee strike is vicious.
Yeah. And I knew that Blair was going to win this match because we were talking about it when we were watching. I think Thea's just too young yet. I don't think she's ready for it yet. Plus, looking, and I hate to say that about her, but I honestly don't believe it's her time yet.
Right.
And plus, we were talking about all the other women that are already in the
Iron Survivor Challenge.
Iron Survivor Challenge. You were saying it's all heels.
Yeah, so far it's all heels because it's Blair Davenport, Lash Legend, and former NXT women's champion Tiffany. So Tiffany's Barbie Quinn.
Yep.
And so who knows which two women are going to face, but we got to start getting some faces in here. And on the men's side, like we'll talk about. Well, okay, we're going to wait to talk about the men in a hot second. So after this match, we're supposed to get Baron Corbin and Ilya Dragunov like promos, but I was just like, this is more like the Baron Corbin talking over everything show, because I was like, why do we have Ilya in this if he's not even going to talk? I was like, you better give him a segment next week trying to answer to what Baron says, because this was very one-sided, and I was like, I know, we have 2 weeks. We need to get this feud fired up.
It's like a negative political ad. You know, it's like, my opponent, this, that. He likes to do this, that, and the other thing. Oh, my opponent. It was just like, because the whole time I was like, why is Baron Corbin narrating Ilya's life story right now? And then because it went to a negative place, and I was like, oh, I see. So I'm thinking next week we're going to get something similar, but with Ilya's voiceover. I really do. I am loving this, because it literally feels like they're running for public office, and
honestly,
and they're writing like negative campaign ads against each other.
Listen, like I want the levels. It's just like, okay, so as a particular youngin and as a fan of RuPaul's Drag Race, I want their political ads to be similar to what they did on season 8. It's just like, Bob the drag queen for office. Why? Because I didn't eat a freaking baby. Like, I want ridiculousness. I want the campiness of it. But you're absolutely right. I was just like, why does this feel like they're trying to be elected mayor of NXT or something? I'm like, what? It's like, this is okay. That's actually a perfect segue. Well, not really, because it happens later in the show. But there's another person that I feel like their promo was like, are we running for public office? Yeah. Your consideration for the Miss Universe of NXT.
Oh my God.
We'll get into Ariana Grace, because I have to eat crow, because I was like, we asked for what we wanted last week, and
we got it.
So we'll talk about that. So moving on from Baron Corbin talking about everything and running for public office for NXT, apparently, we get Charlie still needs a haircut. Dempsey taking on our wonderful boy Eddie Thorpe. I was like, God, I missed you, Eddie.
Yep. Oh my gosh, this fight was interesting. It was good. Don't get me wrong.
It was short though. I was like,
it was super short, and then the ending really kind of irked me.
Eddie can't catch a break, so Eddie picks up the victory here, which me and Will were excited for, and then we were immediately taken out and celebrating with Eddie because Charlie, Dempsey, Drew Gulak, and Miles, the group ended up attacking him after, and they were beating him up after.
Cannot catch a break. He could not even enjoy his win, because these three yahoos basically attacked him, and they were vicious. They were kicking him, and this was close to a hate crime. That was like I mean, my God. I'm like, I just couldn't get over it. I was just like, this poor guy, you know, he just won this victory, and deservedly so. And because, you know, Dempsey and his dipshits are sore losers, they just like attack him. And I'm just like, and no one came to his rescue, which really kind of annoyed me. I was like, why is nobody running out there?
That's the part. So, okay, I'm of two mindsets. So, like, I understand because we really haven't seen Eddie interact with anybody else outside of Dijak when him and Dijak had their feud leading into the strap match. However, I'm like, there are no face guy wrestlers in the back. Like, honestly, like, if I'm being completely honest, I think what this is building to is if we don't see Eddie in the Iron Survivor, I think we're going to get like a 3-on-3 match, or at least a 2-on-2 with Charlie and Drew taking on Eddie. And honestly, the person I want to see kind of fit into this role, because I know he's our good little strong boy. I want to see Tyler Bate and Eddie Thornton team up, like, honestly, and take on Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey. I think that's a match that I would love to see.
Yeah.
Eddie needs to listen. I love you, Eddie, and I'm upset that nobody came out, but also we need you to start finding some friends in NXT. Because I don't want to see you get jumped every single week.
Literally every fight he's fought, he's gotten jumped.
He's gotten jumped either by Dijak or he's outnumbered by who knows what. I'm like,
and I'm just like, man, get yourself some friends.
Seriously, find some homies, man.
But I was sort of surprised though that nobody came out. Like none of the good guys, you know. And there are plenty of them.
I was just like, listen, no Tyler Bate. Like, where was Axiom of all people?
Yeah, I mean, here we have, and I'm not trying to get, you know, political anything, but here you have 3 white men beating down on a Native American.
Seriously.
No one see the imagery of that, and then you have no one come to his rescue. Like, hell, any of the BIPOC folks, none of them. I mean, I was so the whole time I was watching it, I was like, we are literally watching a white on red hate crime.
Again, you're like, this is on the verge of a hate crime.
and no one stepped in. None of the other, you're right, Axiom or, you know, Tyler Bate, or, you know, even like the Los Lotharios.
They could have been cool. Well, I feel like, I mean, Los Lotharios ended up being busy because we're going to talk about
that is true, but
I'm just like Tyler, Axiom, like some of the
other that are good guys. The good guys, nobody came to help him, and I just
like Nathan Frazier would have been fun to come out too. I don't know. What I'm hoping is that, you know, Eddie is upset with what happened, so he finds some friends, and we get like a 3-on-3 or a 2-on-2 match. Because I'm like, Eddie,
here for it.
Yeah, so we shall see what happens with that.
But he won. That's all that matters.
Yes, that matters. So I was like, okay, good, he won. So I'm okay with that. So speaking of unsolved mysteries, we think Chase U is not the only mystery that we're trying to solve here, that me and Will are trying to play Scooby-Doo with, because we're also trying to figure out what's going on with Josh Briggs and Tiffany Stratton. So Josh Briggs is backstage, and he's kind of talking to himself. You know, he comes to the realization that he is now in the Iron Survivor Challenge, which means he's one step closer to getting the #1 contendership to face for the NXT Championship. And this interaction was only like 5 seconds, and Tiffany's just like, "What's up, loser? Isn't it great to be a winner? Okay, bye." Like, literally, that's how it felt.
Yeah.
And so as Tiffany leaves, you know, Josh Briggs is there, and Brooks and Fallon come in, and Fallon was not having it. She was upset. She's like, "What were you talking to Tiffany about?" Mm-hmm. And then Josh did the ultimate bro-y move, because he's like, "Don't worry about it." I was just like, "It was nothing, I promise." And then he up and left, and then they were like, "What is happening?" Like, yeah. I'm like, "Sir," I was like, are you and Tiffany having a fling behind their backs? Like, what does Tiffany have on you?
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, what is happening? Because I know Tiffany and Fallon aren't necessarily the best of friends.
It was so sus.
I cannot wait to see this evolve. I was just like, Fallon's going to play detective and figure out what is happening.
He's going to find some shit. I know.
Listen, I need her and Lexus King to team up and be PI detectives. That would be hilarious.
Oh my god!
Like, Ace Detectives. Yeah, maybe NXT shouldn't hire me for a week.
Yeah, they should. Totally. They need some more cheesiness in there, though. I'm all for it. I'm like, like, hi, I'm Lexus King, private dick. Yeah, there you go.
Like, give him a yellow coat, be like, give him a trench coat, be like, oh my gosh, it's like 1980s Dick Tracy. But instead of a yellow
Def Leppard called, they want their hair back.
Honestly, no, forget Lexus King. I want JCJ and Thea to be like, I was like, oh my gosh, female Dick Tracys.
No,
I mean, they're dressing in all black anyways.
You know, the funny thing about it, and and it would be great, but it would make no sense whatsoever. And I know I'm getting way off topic here, but is if, like, because of the Halloween Havoc, if Metaphor became NXT's, like, Scooby Gang.
Might as well, because they were dressed as the Scooby. Listen, I am actually kind of here for it. They can still be kind of heelish, but they actually help people.
Yeah.
Okay, NXT, I take back what I said. You need to hire me and Will. Start our own Scooby-Doo detective agency with Metaphor. Like,
yes.
Whatever Noam Dar has done with the NXT Heritage Cup, let him be like, all right, we're going to figure out who beat up Trick Williams.
And I really literally want it to be like it was Old Man Jenkins the whole time, you know?
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling kids.
Yeah, you meddling metaphors.
You meddling.
Yeah, you meddling. Oh my God, that's funny.
I love it. So speaking of fun things too, we get the closing celebration with the family who, are collecting money for their underbosses. I was just like, yo, y'all want to slide us some cash that way? Because me and Will are kind of broke.
Yeah, I'll take some of that.
I was like, we are some broke bitches.
Yep.
I was just like, listen, in the words of Gucci Mane, like, if you slide me some cash, bands will make me dance. I'm just putting it out there.
Indeed.
Like, check out the After Hour podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
It's
just like, and now coming to the stage, Los Chicos Gordos.
I'll get on a poll if you want me to.
I mean,
back in my day.
Literally yesterday. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
Again, look, I was like, family, if you want to slide us some cash, I am not above humiliating myself. I'm just putting it out there.
Say, the one thing I did I had a problem with in this whole scene is they did not eat that food.
Listen, if you know anything about Italian families, you do not leave the table until you finish your food.
Right.
Because if you do, you're about to get smacked upside the head. I was like, you Tony D'Angelo and Stacks, shame on you. You're going to hear from your Italian grandma later.
That's right.
So let's get to the important bit. So they collect the money, they leave, they're out in the parking lot, and then Los Lotharios come out of nowhere and jump them. I was like, I'm telling you guys, the parking lot is the most dangerous place in America. Los Lotharios held nothing back. Like Angel Garza, the Jeep, like bam. I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? And then they jumped up in the Jeep and they rolled away. And Tony was mad.
He's so mad.
He's like, you want me to not forget you? I was like, you want to challenge us? Then challenge accepted. Which sets up a NXT Tag Team Championship match between the family and Los Lotharios next week on NXT. I was like, listen, I am all here for aggravated assault. In this context, I was just like, I paused and I was like, let me finish that sentence. I was like, Los Lotharios just in one episode have flipped every critique we had for them and their arrival back into NXT in one night.
Yep.
They were vicious in their tag team match and they jumped the tag team champions.
So good.
And we're about to get them in a tag team championship match. And I was like, yes, the world is...
Hell yes.
Playing from Will's clip.
Alexa once again agrees with us.
She agrees with us.
Speaking of Alexa and other names that begin with A, okay. So I'm kind of on board with Ariana Grace.
Yeah! My God.
Listen. Okay, so essentially we get this video promo of Ariana Grace, and our me and Will's biggest complaint with her is like, we don't see much depth with this Miss America character.
No.
And Lord have mercy, she added the depth. She's like, oh my God. I was like, this Miss Universe character where she gives backhand compliments and is just very uptight and rigid with her shade and her backhanded compliments to people. Like, homegirl was out here dragging people left and right. She's like, and the vernacular and the way she was speaking, I was like, this is totally like Miss Universe right here, where she is trying to be politically correct, but she is throwing so much shade to people.
God, it was so beautiful.
She dragged the NXT audience, and she dragged Carmen Petrovic too. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of here for Ariana Grace now in this character, because if this is how we're going to be the rest of the time, I'm here for it.
Yo, I am so here for it, because she was so great. I just love the, dare I say, passive aggressiveness but it was so wonderful. The shade was glorious. It's glorious. She was just like, you're all, oh, when she talked about the soap, taking a bath with soap, I was like, damn, girl. I am officially a fan of Ari. Great. I am totally a fan now.
This episode had a lot going right because it, like, the things that we were complaining about the last couple of weeks, they literally fixed it this episode. And I was like, I swear Shawn Michaels is listening to us.
Seriously.
Somebody over at NXT headquarters is watching this podcast because they are fixing a lot of the things we've been complaining about. Okay, so now we have arrived at our main event for the NXT Women's Championship. We had Xia Li taking on Lyra Valkyria. First and foremost, I love the spinning knives that Xia Li came in with. I was like, listen, she's coming in every match with a different, like, martial arts weapon.
I'm here for it.
And I love it.
Totally here for it.
It was great. And then Lyra wasted no time. She didn't even do her full entrance. Like, the music played and she just ran down to the ring, gave the title to the ref. And she's like, I'm going to whoop your ass. And then, you know, the match began. I will admit, for the first third of this match, I started to get worried because Xia Li had most of the offense and Lyra was not putting up a fight.
Nope.
And I got worried. I was like, girl, I know you're going to win, but let's try to make it a little bit more fair because if Xia beats your butt and then you suddenly superwoman yourself to win, I'm like, that's not how I wanted it.
No.
But thankfully, it became more of a back and forth, and the girls went at it. Lyra was answering a lot. Xia Li impressed the hell out of me in this match because she had so many submission moves and reversals for Lyra.
She did.
It was so beautiful. And then she kept up with Lyra's intensity with the chops and the kicks as well. And then Lyra fired back with kicks and chops of her own. I was just like, these girls are about to kill each other. And I'm kind of here for it.
I was very much there for it because at first, like you said, at first, I was worried because, I mean, Lyra was she was getting her ass kicked. And I was just like, this is not, oh my God. And I thought, well, you know, maybe they just want to show that Xia Li is really, like, intense and this is who she is in fighting style, which is great because I like her fighting style. But, you know, and my issue with it is that Lyra went up against, you know, Becky and was, like, on fire. And then you get her into the ring with this Xia Li and she just sort of whips out. I was like, I couldn't get behind it. And then you're, you know, about a third of the way through, then we started seeing Lyra sort of like coming back and starting to kick ass herself. And I don't know. I like the way it ended. I think it got, once Lyra got in sync with it, the match was way better. Because I was like, okay, we've got hits and returns. Okay, now, oh, here comes Lyra now. Okay, hit, return, hit, return. So yeah, I liked this match. I really did. It was probably in my top bits because I love Lyra. And I really like Xia Li. I didn't know much about her, but seeing her fight officially for the first time, I really like her style. So, but I really liked this match. I thought it was well done. I thought, like I said, I thought it started off a little iffy, but by the time we got about it, it was banging. Because then Lyra's like got her second wind or something, and she just started kicking some ass.
Oh, absolutely. And it showed in the finishing sequence. Xia Li goes for a roundhouse kick. Lyra ducks out of the way. She hits a roundhouse kick of her own. And then Lyra breaks out a new finisher. Like, she picks up Xia Li and like does an inverted like tombstone. I want to call it the code blue because it's like I've seen the various iterations of it, but it's just like a scoop up, like small sit down powerbomb slam kind of thing. And I was just like, I kind of like this finisher for Lyra a little bit than going up to the top rope all the time.
Yeah.
Like, girl. Because to me, it's safer that way. Because if me and Will, like, as we know, and wrestlers have said it all the time, taking anything off the top rope puts a lot of strain on your body when that impact hurts a lot. So to have Lyra be able to do a finisher that doesn't require her to fly off the top rope every match, like, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
And Lyra retains the NXT Women's Championship and it is still your NXT Women's Champion. And we see Lyra celebrating in the ring as NXT goes off the air for this week. So, Will, the last thing we have to do before we sign off is to give our final ratings for this week's NXT. So, overall, I'm actually going to give this one because overall this was a pretty good show. Well, minus one segment that I thought was really bad. But other than that, I think this was a great show as we're building towards Deadline. We got more qualifying matches. We're setting up feuds that are leading into it. I really enjoyed everything we got, and it felt like a really nice balance. So I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10 this week. I really enjoyed this week's episode of NXT.
I'm giving it an 8.5 because I thought it was pretty good. I loved the episode, other than, what we talked about. The Von Wagner, Mr. Stone segment was just wrong. And then Lexis King's whole thing made no sense to me. But other than that, I thought that the episode flowed well. I thought that all the matches were good. Of course, the Carmelo, why is my brain blocking that out? And Briggs, Josh Briggs, thank you. Literally, I was like, I cannot think of his name for some reason. That
match of the night, for sure.
Yeah, it was just... And I thought that even though that match was my match of the night, I thought all the other matches sort of lived up to it. It's just that one was just super wow. So yeah, I would say about an 8.5. Pretty good episode.
Love it. And then as we said in our review, next week it's looking to be fun because we have our NXT Tag Team Championship match between the family and Los Lotharios. And we have that fatal 4-way for who's going to be challenging Dominic Mysterio at Deadline, and this is do or die for Wes, because if Wes loses that fatal 4-way next week, then he no longer gets a shot at that North American Championship so long as Dominic holds on to it. I know.
It's gonna be so stressful.
Honestly though, I'm looking forward to next week. But until then, this has been another edition of Los Chicos Gordos. Me and Will always have a good time spending time together reviewing NXT, because we care about these NXT kids because we love them like we're our own children.
Yep.
We love them so much.
Indeed.
So, make sure that you hit the bell notification, subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date and to be notified via YouTube when other Los Chicos Gordos reviews go up, as well as all the other stuff we review here on the YouTube channel. Follow us all over the social medias at bcwrestlepod to get to see fantastic out-of-context clips. Will doesn't know this yet, but I'm going to put him on the spot. The clip where 2 weeks ago we talked about why there are not many gay men. Other gay men watching wrestling has taken off into the stratosphere, and lots of people have been commenting and sharing it, so it's been a great thing.
Oh, really? I didn't even know. You have to share the link with me, because I haven't been looking.
I will send you the clip because I get to see all the notifications, and I also get to see how many views the reels have gotten on Instagram because I'm in charge of it. But I will send you the clip to remind you which one it was, because
I don't remember.
Will has some awesome takes, and I'm so happy he's my co-host. And then, of course, you can check us out on our actual podcast, the Biconics Wrestling Podcast, where all podcasts can be found, where we talk about what else but wrestling as well, except we don't review everything, we just talk about wrestling in general. Ladies and gentlemen, I am making an official announcement in about 2 to 3 weeks. Prepare yourself, because I'm going to be trying to host all 9 of us together as we talk about end of the year wrestling, where we're going to talk about our likes, our dislikes, and we're going to fight each other on why you're wrong. It's going to be chaotic, and I'm so excited for it because this is my favorite episode that we did last year, where we talked about the year in wrestling. And I'm excited to hopefully have Will and a few of our newer folks to join us for the first time and give their more newbie takes on wrestling, because their stuff is important just as much as the rest of us who've been watching for a very long time. All viewing, lengths matter in this scenario, so I'm excited for that. But until then, from myself, Will, and the rest of the Biconics boys, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, stay Biconic, you beautiful